Hey everyone, this is Robin from Our Wild Way, and today I'm going to share my tutorial for art paper. So my kids and I made this super cool art paper about a week ago, and I really wanted to try to replicate it so that we could do it again. I used it to cover composition notebooks, and I will use these to cover some boxes and different storage solutions. The paper that I used is Canvas Skin, and I don't think this particular brand is around anymore, but any canvas paper will work. It's really tough, but it's also really flexible, which makes it perfect for covering notebooks or covering boxes like I'm going to do. You're definitely going to want some kind of tray and cover your workspace because this is gonna get messy. I use liquid watercolor paints. I'm going to try a couple different things because I'm not sure what's going to work best. These are just cheapies that came in a monthly subscription box. Um, I'm going to also use some more expensive ones, some artist watercolor, pigment. So you need a bunch of small, shallow, fairly shallow containers, and you'll want to fill them up about halfway full. So I'm curious which one of these watercolors is going to work better, or if it's even going to matter. The cheapos, the paper turned out amazing. So I wish I could find more of that stuff. I'm also going to try script.The. So we're going to be mixing our pigment with soap. That's what gives that awesome pattern, the bubbly pattern. So I just put a little squirt of soap in each one. Um, they could have been watered down more. I definitely could have added more water to the watercolors and to the, I think, um, and you just get a straw and start blowing. You got to try not to disturb it too much because the bubbles are what give it that cool pattern and that cool design. See, this is the Rit dye, and I think it would have worked better if I had watered it down much more, because that didn't work very well all how it was. You want to make sure to get your paper covered, definitely covered. So these are the colors I'm working with now. And I got a smaller straw because that one just was not working right. So you'll want a narrow straw, and you don't want to fill up your cups too high. You'll want to keep them about halfway or even less. I found that they worked well when they were even less than half full. They just start splattering around if they're too full. And this is so much fun for kids. My son did turn his hands purple for a couple of days. And my fingers are still, I think you'll definitely want to use gloves, is what I'm getting at. I figured watercolor won't dye my fingers. Well, yeah, they will. It came off pretty quickly, but it takes a day or so. Look at how cool the colors mix together. Like, they don't fully mix. They really keep their pigment separate, which is what makes it so cool. Such a cool finished product. Look at that cobalt. It's just such a vibrant color. I'm using Dr. Martin liquid watercolors for this, and they definitely could have been more watered down. They would have gone a lot farther. I kept adding water, and they worked just fine after I added a ton of water. Look at that color. It looks like a rainbow. Yeah, so there's the watercolors. All right, so see how I'm just letting the bubbles kind of go out on their own? That's what makes that killer pattern, and I have no idea how that happened so amazingly because it was such a mess. It was a way bigger mess than this. It was just solid purple when we did it last time, but it turned out so good. All right, so here I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to take this outside and kind of let it set up a little bit. Just going to let those bubbles go. Look at that amazing color through there. Oh my gosh. So I'll end up removing a lot of this pigment. To get this cool pattern, the diamond pattern, I set it on my wire table outside to dry in the sun. It rained, so I think it like washed some of the pigment through. So I'm going to put it out there in the rain. After this sets up a bit, I might even pour some more water over it just to make sure all the soap is off after it sets up just a little bit more because I want it to absorb as much of this color and as much of the pattern as humanly possible. Then we'll set it outside to get wet, rained on, and then to dry in the sun. I think maybe dry in the sun, then rain, then sun would. Okay, so I've had these papers sitting in the sun all night. I mean, I've had them sitting outside all night. Obviously, they weren't sitting in the sun all night. They got rained on, so that kind of, obviously you don't have to have them rained on. This one I put out later and I just poured water on it because it gets like that extra pigment off, and it also gets off the extra soap, I think. Yeah, see, this one still has a ton of soap on it. It needs to be rinsed off way more. But look at, I mean, the pattern is starting to come in that I find to be so cool. The colors are just way different this time. Oh, look at that one. Oh my god, that looks awesome. Yeah, that one looks killer. So now they're gonna sit and like dry in the sun all day. Get a little bleached, I guess. I don't know. These are gonna work so well for what I want to use them for. Alright, so it is midday, and this paper's been sitting in the sun since this morning. This morning I poured water over it. It was all still wet. And now it's totally dry, and I think it looks pretty awesome. It's gonna look pretty good for what I want to use it for. Look at this. Both sides look like 100% different. That's cool. That's a problem. I can't decide what color I like best. So, watercolor, soap, and canvas paper. Oh my gosh, look at how cool this side looks. That turned out great. And this one, nice and pastel-y. And this one I did this morning, and I just let it, I just used the extra paint that was left over, and I just put it on one of these trays to dry, and look at it, totally like picked up the pattern of the tray. And here's the other side. So that turned out pretty good. I'll be using these to cover some boxes, just like boring boxes that I have, and maybe even some more books, journal covers and such. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so. We do tons of fun DIYs like this, lots of curriculum overviews, lots of toy reviews, lots of fun unit studies and projects to go along with them. So I hope we see you again. Bye-bye.